It's an hour late, but it's best we could do. We're going to start this Executive Finance Committee. If we could, Phyllis, if you'd give us an invitation, please.
Thank you. Heavenly Father, we just humbly bow before you this afternoon, Lord, just thanking you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us this day. Lord, we just ask that you be with us as we go through this meeting. Just guide and direct us and unite us in the love for our people, guiding us to do the right things, the best that we can do according to your will. God, we pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, if you could, Gail, if you would give us a roll call.
Linda O'Leary. Bill John Baker.
Here.
Bill England.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Audra Connor. Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Meredith Frady. John Garvin. Chuck Hoskin.
Here.
Bill Johnson.
Here.
Taylor King. John Keener. Jackie Bob Martin.
Aye.
Melvin Shophouse. David Thornton.
Present.
Carrie Cowan Watts. Phyllis Sargent.
We do have a quorum, and at this time we come to approval of the minutes of the January 25th, 07 regular session. I've got a motion.
Second.
Got a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The minutes are approved. We're coming right into reports, and if we could get through as quickly as possible, but without completely doing without, we have Tansy Lake with the Secretary Treasurer report. I guess we have Kelly Ketcher.
Good afternoon. I unchained Tamsy for a day and let her have a day off. So you have the written financial report for the month of December. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer those. The audit is proceeding well. Field work should be wrapped up next week. We had hoped to be able to issue the CAFR by the end of February, but more than likely it'll be towards the end of March, which is our standard. With a new audit firm, it's hard to move that back. Our goal was to complete it by February 28th, and we're not going to make that, but we'll make the March 30th.
Okay, we're talking about the Cherokee Nation.
Cherokee Nation annual report, yes.
How about CNB and CNE and those?
CNE is, I have a draft of that. It has not been issued. CNB has not been issued because it waits on CNE. CNI has been delayed a little bit. I visited with BKD last week. There was one remaining issue with the bank, whether or not CNI was in violation of their covenants. There was a meeting last week between the audit firm and the bankers, and to my knowledge, that's been resolved. Brian, do you have any more current information on that?
We'll be complete and be able to just distribute the final audited report the week of March 5th. So they'll be finalizing this early this next week, going to print, and then we'll be able to distribute the following week.
And CNB?
CNB will probably be that week or the week after. With a new audit firm, normally CNE's audit report is ready by the end of January. They're running a couple of weeks late. And with CNB being the parent company, we have to combine CNE with CNB. So we should have that within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
I reviewed the final statements earlier today, so those will be issued in the next few days of next week. So we're in final statement.
Okay. Any other questions? So are you finished with your report?
Done. Thank you.
Okay. David Stewart, step forward to be heard.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I know it's getting late, so I'm going to be a get-along guy. And my report speaks for itself. We did have a slightly lower than usual month due to the ice storms. We call it the $1 million ice storm. It's very expensive. But we're still just slightly behind budget for the month, but we're ahead of budget for the year, about 18%. So we seeing a very good February, so trying to recover from that ice storm, and we are in part. So I'd let my report speak for itself. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Questions or comments? I guess you've done good.
Thank you.
Cherokee Nation Industries, Dennis McLemore and Brian Collins, I guess.
Good afternoon. Brian had some new brochures that the companies had printed up and he's wanting to distribute.
We've spent a lot of time and energy working on marketing plans and working on new literature for the company. And I just wanted to share this with you so that... Thank you.
Sales for the month of December were $8.5 million, and year-to-date sales are running at $51.7 million, so we're on track to break that $100 million mark for the year, so we're looking at that and shooting at that goal. The profit for December, well, we had a loss in December. During December, we have a reduced billing month in our staffing contracts. A lot of people are going on leaves and everything, so we don't have the number of hours to bill for, so we usually do have a reduced month in December. However, the year-to-date, the profit is $688,000. Our balance sheet, we're running inventories, net inventory is $7.9 million. We owe the bank $9.6 million on our line of credit, and our net worth is $9.2 million. Any questions?
Any questions?
And as Brian reported, our audit report will be distributed the week of March 5th.
I guess there's no questions for you today.
Thank you.
Carrie Gilly, Heritage Center, or Historical Society, or both.
Good afternoon. Appreciate y'all letting me talk to y'all. Keep it short. I know it's been a long day. Basically, our calendar year ended in December, and we felt very good about what that showed. We did show a profit for the year, and we did use all the unrestricted funds that were left over towards the long-term debt, and we've paid off over 50% of that, so we're on a good pace there. So we're real happy with that. Beyond that, we were closed the month of January, working on some behind-the-scenes things, and hopefully some things that y'all will be excited to come out and see soon. The big thing, and I hope y'all got these on the box real quick, I just wanted to talk about this exhibition. We're getting very strong response, very positive response for this, and I hope y'all can come out and see the work that our curator, Michael Gantz, has done in presenting the Cherokee pottery. So that's sort of what I had. I'm trying to be brief. Do y'all want me to elaborate on anything?
Questions?
Questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. Got a catcher, Cherokee Nation Business.
Hello again. We have some good news to report. The board of directors has hired a new CEO for CNB. He will be starting March 5th. His name is Ron Foster. He's a tribal member, and most recently he was Senior Vice President of Compresco. It's a division of Tetra Technologies, which is a publicly traded company serving the oil and gas industry. Ron's got a strong background in sales, marketing, and operations. We're very pleased to have a new leader on board. In other business, we're going to be working on our plan to infuse the $15 million in capital to C&I. The issue is how to do that without creating an income tax problem. So initially, C&E will pay a dividend or a special dividend up to C&B. C&B will probably turn around and initially loan those funds to C&I to replace the bank line of credit. But eventually, it would be capital or equity in C&I rather than a loan. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to loan the money between sister pockets. But I'll keep you posted as things progress on that. That's my report. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Any questions? Callie?
Yes.
You told us 2 or 3 times that on the Cherokee Connects that you were going to limit our liability or our loss to $2 million.
That is what I have been working on. We did sign a deal which I reported at the council meeting. The first payment on that is due March 7th. Final payment due July 31st, which will be our $2 million that is guaranteed from the partners.
Okay. Is that the $2 million that we invested in it or the $2 million that we loaned them?
We never invested $2 million. We loaned $4 million into Cherokee Connects. That company was set up with $4 million in loans. Our partners guaranteed $2 million of that $4 million in loans.
Okay. Is the $2 million that they're supposed to pay us to buy us out the $2 million they guaranteed?
That is correct.
And so we just lost $2 million?
That is correct.
I mean, it's just gone.
That is correct.
$2 million of the people's money loaded to these folks, and now we're tickled to get out with them paying us back to the $4 million we gave them.
Well, no, we didn't loan it to these folks. We went into this as a joint venture. We owned 51% of the company. The partners owned 49%. It was presented to this council as a startup operation in May of 2004, I believe. When I say we're getting $2 million, the $2 million is what was guaranteed by our partners. Connect started operations in January or February of 2005. Sales didn't come around. We didn't get the market that we thought we would. Things have they continued to lose money. What we have gotten out of this is some grants for rural broadband, which we are now going to implement through the Cherokee IT Department. We will get about $3.2 million in grants. Yes, we lost some money on the investment, but in the end, I think we're going to come out okay because we're still going to be able to provide the broadband to those 5 communities.
And how many Cherokee jobs did this $4 million or $2 million create?
The grants will create a few, about I think at least one technical person for each site.
Now, are these pure grants or are these those that we were going to have to pay back?
No, they're pure grants. There is a match on them, 15% match.
David?
Kelly, what's the matter with this Cherokee Connects? Is this a good company, a good solid company that we invested in? And why did we pull out so quick? Is it still working for them? Are they still getting contracts, or
no?
They're not.
If you will recall, this company has lost money. It was a startup. The idea when it was put together, the proposal was to provide wireless broadband in the Tulsa area. There is a network around Tulsa. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's marketing, I don't know if it's technology, but we were never able to penetrate that broadband market in the Tulsa area. Our partners approached us with the idea of when I took over at C&B a year and a half ago, they wanted to buy us out, and the negotiations went on and on and on. The company continued to lose money, so basically what we're doing is pulling out of it. There's not a lot of value left there in the company, a little bit of equipment.
Does it not bother anybody that we lost $2 million and just bam? I mean,
If I recall, the talks way back when it was coming to implement, since we were told that they were in competition with Cox and SBC, if everybody remembers that, and I just wonder what,
If you would go back to the minutes of May or June 2004, when this was brought to Tribal Council, you were given a full overview. In the minutes, it was presented very openly that this was a startup, that the company was not expected to make money for at least the first 2 years. The idea was to build this ring around Tulsa and be able to use that to go out into the rural areas, and basically the Tulsa network will not support itself, and part of it probably is because we're competing with Cox and SBC, and that particular model just did not work.
Chuck?
Yeah, and Kelly, I agree with you. I remember the discussion, and it was indeed talking about startup dollars, but the information that was presented to us showed it as being a very viable business, and while we were agreeing to startup, I don't think we were agreeing to a $2 million loss.
Right.
So I think that's part of the dissatisfaction.
And I understand, nobody wants to stand here and report that you've lost money on an investment. What I'm telling you is, from my perspective, we've been very open about this. It was a startup, which makes it a higher risk investment. It was the first time out to try to look at diversifying our business holdings, and it didn't work.
But when C&B looked at it, I assume they were very diligent, and at least the possibility was out there. It would be a going concern.
Right. You obviously would not go into any investment expecting to lose your money.
And
Market changes, technology changes constantly. It was a high-risk investment.
so C&B, with their eyes open, understanding the risk, but certainly believing it's a viable business, or they went along $4 million.
Right.
Is there any one or two things that you can point to that caused this loss? You talk about technology changes and maybe leadership in their company or whatever. What would you say would?
I would say not having a good market plan when the system went up to go out there and really just hit the Tulsa market hard. From my perspective, kind of coming in on the middle of it, I think we relied too heavily on our partners, and this is something we've talked about in our board meetings quite a bit, where we didn't really have the capacity internally to manage this business, so we relied more on our partners than probably we should have.
And well, obviously, I've been concerned all along because Veneta was part of it. Veneta still does not have broadband, and I'm not convinced that they're going to. I mean, I certainly hope that happens.
Yep.
But my concern goes beyond my city. It goes to the $4 million.
Right.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I used to work up there and was around a lot of the formation and the idea of C&B itself. And what we have to come to the realization is this world of private equity is very complex. And I think, we just weren't set up with the infrastructure for it. And we had a few of us had worked around that type of what we call, high finance. But I'm hoping, and this is, I could be swiping at myself here, and no swipe at Callie or anybody else. But I mean, it's a very sensitive industry, and the expectations have to be that there is a lot of risk involved with it.
Right.
But we didn't do it right. I'm hoping that as of now, moving forward with the new CEO, that they're going to bring in the type of people who can explore these things. A lot of the folks, everyone loves to do a deal, and everyone had their own ideas, and we didn't have the auditors in place to do all the due diligence and all that stuff. And I just hope that in the future that we do. But there has to be an expectation, that there is going to be losses around this stuff. But we could have done a better job. I remember looking at some of the deals saying, who's doing the due diligence, and there was no answer. If you would have gone in and looked, really deep at this partner, you probably wouldn't want to have done business with them. That's all in hindsight. So my plea is, that people who are not in private equity don't think that they should be, and get out of the way and let's do business right. And it may require, if we're going to do this kind of stuff, to buy some new companies, that may not be Cherokee. If we're going to do that kind of stuff. If not, then we don't need to be doing it.
And I appreciate that, Taylor, and I think you would agree, since you were at CNB for a while, we have built some capacity in the staffing, and acquisitions take a long time. I think initially there was a rush to go out and do a deal, and CNB is not going to do that. Our board, as Mr. Hanna stated very well, our board is very adamant about saying no if a deal doesn't meet the criteria.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Callie, I've got a question or two about the landfill. Would you be the proper one to ask as far as the financial aspect or side of it?
I have been somewhat involved in the landfill with my treasurer hat. I can try.
Okay. I have asked a couple different times for who the owners of this ICI is, and what I get is a copy of the landfill operating and host fee agreement and their resident agent. That's it. But in looking through some of the stuff in the resident agent, this operational part, I guess I've got some questions about the finances. They've been in business about a year and a half.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
They were, if I understand it right, they were supposed to pay us like somewhere around $3 million in this agreement. After a master permit was issued, which has not been done yet. They've been down there for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Who's holding up the master permit?
That is something that I just got involved with over the last 60 days. I have been trying to facilitate that process between the landfill ICI and the EPC. I think we are getting very close to getting to an agreement of what is going to be required to get that permit update issued. In fact, it is on the agenda for the March EPC Commission meeting.
Okay. Can I continue, Mr.
You may.
I think according to that agreement too, Kelly, that we were supposed to be reimbursed for, basically the equipment expenses, leases, personnel expenses, the folks working down there and all of that. And we were to receive a per ton fee of like $2 a ton, I believe. And it was supposed to be paid to us quarterly.
Yes.
Now, I guess my question is, if I enter into a deal with somebody to run a business, and any expenses I run into dealing with what I've agreed to here, they're going to reimburse me for, like the tribe. And plus, they're going to pay me so much a ton over these year and a half.
Yeah.
How can the tribe, how can we lose over $500,000 in a year and a half, or somewhere thereabouts? I don't understand.
Let me explain to you what ICI reimburses for. They reimburse for the personnel, they reimburse for the basic operating expenses. They are making the loan payment to CNE, which that loan was done a little over a year ago to fund the cell that they're using right now, and they're making a couple of leased equipment payments. What they are not doing is paying us back depreciation. On a cash flow basis, depreciation is for the equipment that we own plus the site development that the nation had already put into that landfill. So when you look at the income statement, it shows a loss, but if you add back depreciation, you've got some positive cash flow.
Well, I guess my question, Kelly, is how long are we going to, I mean, I thought the reason we got into this with ICI was to have a landfill and make money while we were operating and provide 8 or 10 jobs for these people down there.
And that's one of the issues during the interim or until the permit is issued. I believe they're only paying a $1 a ton host fee. That goes up to $2 per ton when we get the permit. And then there's the 2.7, which is due once we get the full master plan.
And that tonnage thing brings up another new question is, I'm not sure, Kelly, that everything that's going in that landfill out there is getting weighed. Which would affect our bottom line.
Is there a specific example?
Well,
I mean, all I can do is get with EPC and Doug Bain.
There's 5 or 6 or 7 trailers, I understand, that makes the runs to northwest Arkansas. And they have to clear there at late in the afternoon, and they come into the landfill down there after dark, away from the night, I understand. There's nobody at the scale house, I don't believe. I'm just not sure we're getting all of the bang for the buck that we're supposed to be getting, and that's a concern I have.
I will visit with Mr. Bain about that because I had not heard that. It wouldn't make sense to me from a business perspective not to weigh everything that comes into the landfill, because ICI as the operator is billing the customer, and they're getting much more than $1 a pound. They're getting like $1 a ton.
Well, I'm not saying they're not weighing it, but I have a question as to what it's getting weighed, and I just don't think we should be losing money.
No, I agree with you. And that's why I'm trying to resolve these differences to get to the master plan.
If we're actually losing that much money to provide 8 or 10 jobs, we'd be better off to send them home and just send them a check. I mean, be money ahead. I mean, that's just my thought.
Yeah, and I certainly agree with you, and as I explained, in this first year, your cash flow, we do have a positive cash flow. The landfill is a difficult business. It's been around at the nation for a long time. I've had some limited exposure to it. We've had ups and downs running it internally. The idea when the RFP was issued and ICI bid on this, the idea was to get a third-party operator. They'll pay us a royalty. They pay all of the costs of development, which gets very expensive. To do the next cell at the landfill, it's going to be probably $3.5 million. Historically, the tribe has struggled to make that kind of investment into the landfill. So that's my job right now, is to work with ICI and Doug and Janine Hale and see if we can't get this moving forward.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
And quite frankly, if my company was operating the landfill, I would be in no hurry to get the permanent agreement if I was getting the tonnage at $1 instead of $2. And if I could keep my $2.7 million in the bank, and the Cherokee Nation would go out and put the bond up for me to get contracts at Fayetteville and places like that. I mean, it sounds like a sweetheart deal.
Well, just to clarify, Cherokee Nation did not put up any bond for the city of Fayetteville.
We put the full faith and credit of Cherokee Nation up.
ICI put up a letter of credit for that business.
They couldn't get bonded. That was the story you gave me. They could not get bonded.
ICI
and
could
we
not.
had to put our name on the dotted line in order for them to get that contract.
Now, the contract, it was requested that Cherokee Nation consider contracting with the city of Fayetteville, because for the city of Fayetteville, it was an advantage for them to do a government-to-government contract rather than with a third party. We were approached to put up a bond or a letter of credit on this contract. We didn't do that. ICI, because it's a new startup company, was not able to get a bond, but they put up a letter of credit. That's how the Fayetteville contract was able to move forward and begin implementing on that.
So we didn't sign that contract.
No, we did sign the contract, but we did not put up a bond, nor did we put up a letter of credit.
But they couldn't have got the job because they'd only been in business for less than a year or 18 months or something, and we had to go on the dotted line in order for them to qualify for it.
As I understand it, it was easier for the city of Fayetteville to contract with another government, and that's why we moved forward with the nation contracting with the city of Fayetteville. ICI contracts with the nation to do the work.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Can next month you give us a report on the landfill and what you found out?
I will do so.
Linda.
I'd like to make a request to county. Where Cherokee Connect is at financially, what the investment is, what the percentage of ownership is, what the bottom line is right now with Cherokee Connect, how much money we've sunk into it, how much money is proposed to get out of it, whether it's actually closed, operating, or whatever at this point in time. And as the other councilors have said, some kind of a breakdown also on the landfill as to what we've invested and where we're actually staying, what we can visually see.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chuck.
I just have a question, Joe, and I apologize, I didn't hear all of it, but you said that you're unable to find out who actually owns this company that we entered into this agreement with on the landfill. Is that the individuals that own it? I'm sorry.
Well, can I, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please.
I've made two requests in writing, asking who these people were. I told council one night, I believe Mr. Bay was addressing something about, the landfill, and I asked him if he knew who they were, and I think he said yes. I said, could I get their names, and he answered affirmative, and I think, for whatever reason, I never did get them. I also think Mr. Baker asked in one of our meetings, and I believe he might have asked Kelly. I'm not sure who he did ask. Somebody. But I remember you asking and was told, you could get that. But as of this date, I still haven't gotten anything.
Okay. Can you help us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. When this question first came up, I did exactly what you said. I went to the Oklahoma Secretary of State's website, pulled the report. It only gives the registered agent. Mm-hmm. And I believe Melanie Knight had pulled that information previously. I spoke with Gary Pitchland, who is the registered agent owner of ICI, and asked him to give us a listing of who are the members of this LLC. And he did write me a letter. He is the sole owner. He has consultants that he has work for him. One of them is Emery. I can't remember. I can't pronounce his last name. It's Hungarian. There's John and Lanny Young. There's a Bob Murray, who's his engineer. But that letter should have come back over to you, Mr. Crittenden, in response to your request. Did you not get a copy of that?
I don't remember getting it, Kelly.
I will pull it out and send a copy over.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Kelly. Okay, moving right along, we're down to community. David.
Last month, I approached you all on some way we could financially help the Bush family. I guess there is no way that we can do that. I would like to approach you if any of y'all would like to contribute to give some money to Gail. She could take your name, address, and everything down, and we can try to help them a little bit.
Todd.
After that request was made, I spoke with Melanie Knight to see if there's what way the Cherokee Nation could do this, and I had suggested that it be that instead of a direct donation, that they supply all the supplies for a hog fry or some type of community fundraiser. That way they have zero cost in it, and it could also be a Cherokee community meeting and something to benefit and honor the Bush family. That was the suggestion.
Yeah, if anybody is interested, wants to, Bill will take it. Community assistance, Doug.
There have been several things added since the packet went out. So I'm just going to start at the beginning because I've kind of lost track of where we started and where we ended from here. But on the community assistance, for the month, we've got $1,000 from Ms. Yargy for the Fleet Springs organization. $1,000 each. Mr. Johnson, Mr. England for City of Collinsville for a defibrillator. Oak Grove Baptist Church, $2,000. Mr. Garvin, building improvements. Will Rogers Heritage, $1,000 for Children's Museum, Ms. Cowan Watts. War Pony, $125, Mr. Keener. Some financial assistance. Oaks Indian Mission, $500, Ms. O'Leary for students' trip. Foiled JOM Parent Committee, Ms. Cowan Watts, $500 for school event. Uliga Talala, Safe After Prom Committee, $500 for the event. $250 each, Mr. Anglin, Mr. Johnson for the Bartlesville Operation Eagle. Community organization assistance. A softball team. Gail, you may have to help me pronounce that. She said. Costu. Okay.
Yeah.
$250 each, Mr. Baker and Ms. I'm sorry. All right, Ms. Connor for ball team assistance. East School District, $250 each. Mr. Baker, Ms. Connor. Senior class graduation party. Colbert Drug-Free Basketball League, $250 each. Mr. Baker, Ms. Connor. For organizational support. Also organizational support for the Opportunity House of Tahlequah, $332.50 each. $332.50 each. Mr. Baker, Ms. Connor. And one last one that I have is Delaware County Livestock Show, $750 each. Ms. O'Leary and Ms. Shop Pouch for the livestock scholarships.
Yes.
What was the $1,000 financial assistance? And that's all it said. I believe it was Mr. Keener. Is that going to an individual or a group?
Mr. Keener, $125 to a War Pony.
Thank you.
Ms. Moore?
Did you get mine on the student from OK, SIBO?
Seabolt.
Yes.
Yes.
Was that the OKB?
Okay, man.
That was the EMF last concern with the...
Sorry.
I don't have it on there, so I didn't...
It's in the white. Only the ones in yellow are what's being approved.
The parade,
Yeah, it's on there.
yeah, that was the last one.
It's up at the top, or the middle,
Macy parade.
at the top. Okay, Ben. Like the 10th one down. Activity finance.
That's not the one we're talking about. This is a new one for a student that's going to travel overseas and goes to the band.
I didn't get that one.
Just do it from the floor then. She doesn't have it.
Okay, public schools.
Okay, band fund,
Man,
$300. I'll make that motion.
Is that a motion to move all, to approve all of them that he's mentioned?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Oh, wait a minute.
I've got one.
Got some more, just a second. Yes.
Thank you. It's for school chapel, Lauren Hayden Miller.
I'm sorry, what was it?
From, you.
School chapel.
School chapel?
$700.
Okay. Okay.
Any others? Then I'd entertain a motion to approve all.
So moved.
I've got a motion. Got a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Now if we go into law enforcement requests.
Yes. Have several law enforcement assistants this month. Ms. Callan Watts has given $5,114 for Inola Police Department, Oologah Police Department, and Chelsea Police Department for equipment. With Chelsea getting assistance for the construction of an evidence room. Also, Ms. Callan Watts has contributed $2,000 for City of Claremont and City of Tucson for equipment and some tactical team equipment. Mr. Garvin has $3,052.60 to the following municipality police departments: Town of Braggs, Town of Fort Gibson, Town of Warner, Town of Webbers Falls, and Muskogee County Sheriff's Office, as well as Forum Police Department. $10,000 in the shop pouch for equipment to Delaware County Sheriff's Office. Mr. Thornton, Ms. Yargy, $2,371.41 for equipment. That's each, contributing that amount to City of Sallisaw. Ms. Callan Watts has $2,000.73, which will deplete that balance for Talala Police Department. Mr. Thornton, Ms. Yargy, both $2,371.41 for equipment and lighting on the cars for the Vian Police Department. Mr. Anglin, $5,000 to the City of Collinsville's Police Department and Skytoops Police Department. I believe that's it. I've already mentioned Porum, haven't I? Okay. That's all I have.
What say you?
Move for approval.
Got a motion. Got a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. They are approved. Under old business, the Cherokee Nation benefits analysis, the county has been extremely busy, and she and Doug have not been able to...
Move to table.
Thank you. Got a motion, second to table.
Aye.
And all in favor might say aye. Aye. Okay, and hopefully we'll get that next month with a new CEO and such. Maybe Kelly will have a little more time. As a matter of convenience, number 3 under new business will be. I'll strike it as it's moved at this point since we did it in the last meeting. Next, we have an act amending Legislative Act 2606, authorizing comprehensive budget for fiscal year 07, Mod 5, declaring an emergency. Doug, please come forward.
February grants, $1.25 million from DHHS. The majority of that for the diabetes program is carryover adjustment. 15 mods in this. I want to report that the administration resubmitted Mod 3 in its identical form as was passed, with the exception of the bonus item. But it was submitted after the agenda was already posted. That's why it's not in the packet. But moving on, I just want to let you know that Mod 3 has been submitted by administration. It's just not in this packet because of its timing.
Excuse me, let me interrupt you. I need to recognize Mr. Baker. I have the hammer now, I guess.
Okay. Under this Mod 5, I'd like to move that we add all of Mod 3, including the $1.5 million for employee bonuses, so that we can get that all brought forth at one time. I put that in form of a motion.
Second.
Have a motion, second. Discussion, yes.
$1.5 million for the employee bonus. I'd sure like to see us get that to the people, but this will be the fourth time that we tried it, and we're going to get beat to it again. I was asked to give my opinion to the principal chief if there was any other way that we could do something with this money. And I thought long and hard and came back with an idea. I don't think either, we're at a gridlock here, and everyone's very firm in their beliefs, and I respect everyone's belief system on that. And I've talked to most of y'all in here about this. The only sort of middle ground that I found between Chief Smith and myself that we could find on this was to try to proactively help the employees in an economic way. And the program that I suggested was this individual development account. Money that, but I preface this with saying, if we're going to do something like this, I want it to help the poor employees. So I know there's copies of this. I don't know, Gail, where it is. I can explain it to you. Allie's here to help explain. But this development account, they open up a savings account, and they got to put a little bit of money in there just to get it started. And then as they put money into that savings account, if they make under $30,000 a year, which is almost 1,200 of our employees here, then the tribe will match that savings 2-to-1. So up to $870. So what was $311? If they put that in there, it will be matched times 2, and they've got $1,000 saved. Now, if they want to, upon putting in their part of that money into it, they can then roll it into an IRA and break it open and take the money if they want to. They'll have to put fees on it. But the intention. The intention is really is to help these families in the long run. I know lots of our folks are having difficult times economically, and they often are at the prey of credit card companies and everything else. This is one tool, and it's not very exciting or anything like that, but maybe it will help some folks save some money and get out of the hand to mouth. One of the components that we put on there was we do have a lot of good trained folks who can talk to these people, sit down with them, look at their finances, and it's a science. Which one they should be paying first? What should they be doing? You want to own a house? If you owned a house, you'd save this much money in taxes and stuff like that. So these are all components in the program, and none of these dollars would go to people who make more than $50,000.
I'll second that amendment.
I haven't made it yet. I'm just trying to explain it. I really think it could help a lot of these people, and I know most of them probably, if they do put it in and it gets matched, they'll probably break it open and take it out. And that's up to them. But hopefully in the long run, that this, will help them get to a house or get out of debt or something like that. So with that, I'd like to make the motion for friendly amendment to take the $1.5 million and put it into the IDA program.
Mr. Baker's asked before, do you want to, before you entertain that motion?
Yeah, look, could we have a little discussion before we start accepting anything? My question is, we've got hundreds of employees that can't afford $20 a month to match this. I'm all for us matching, them putting 400 in and us putting 800 in, and they've got 12, I assume, is that the right numbers?
Number of employees under 30,000?
Well, no, but I thought what you said is if they put 400 of their dollars in, we would match it 2 to 1,
yes.
Which would give them $1,200.
Yes.
I'm all for that, but the problem is those people at the very lowest end don't have the $20 a month to match it. They don't, or $40 a month to do it in a year. They don't have the extra $40. They're desperately wanting the balance of what we told them we'd give them. And I realize this is a compromise, and this is a way out, but, all of a sudden, we're taking away from 1,500 of our, or 1,200 of our employees and giving it to 800 of our employees, and putting a hardship on them to get to it. I've talked to some that say, hey, I can afford it. I can afford not to get it better than some of these other folks. But they know that these other folks have immediate needs and immediately need what they believe that they deserve. And I would think, yes, this is the fourth run at this. We thought we did it right in the comprehensive budget, and it didn't get there. That mistake will not be made again. But, this is not a supplemental. This is getting to them what we promised them to start with. And I think everybody in this committee, knew that they were going to take Social Security and federal withholdings and those kinds of things out of it. But I believe everybody in this room believed we were dividing $2.5 million by 2,100 people. And I think if we promise it, we ought to do it. And maybe the next year we can do it this other way. Because I'm all for giving the lowest paid employees an opportunity to get a down payment on a vehicle or a down payment on our house, or help them in any way that we can possibly do it, and I commend you for that time. But I don't think now's the time. I think next year's budget might be the time. But I think we need to do what we said we'd do. So I'm not going to accept the friendly. We might get it voted down and we can do it the other way. But I just truly believe we ought to do what we say we're going to do. The state of Oklahoma, go ahead.
I have a question. I commend you for trying to bring about a resolution to this, and I think that making it possible for our Cherokee people to actually receive more, albeit over a longer time, and also experience the opportunity to save and do those kind of things is a great thing. But I'm just curious, do you think that this could be an option? And I know, I don't know how many people will take advantage of it. You either take X amount of dollars up front, or if deposited in this account at the Cherokee Nation match for those that want to do that. Do you think that would be possible?
Sorry, just to clarify that.
Just for it to be an option, take the X amount of dollars up front, or have the money deposited with Cherokee Nation matching the money as they go along. Is that something that you think the chief might at least entertain? I think so.
But some of them are gonna, they know they don't have $10 a month. They don't have 20. They darn sure don't have 40 a month left over, raising these families, making, $10 an hour or $9 an hour or $8 an hour. They can't match it. They're barely making ends meet, getting to work and doing their job for the Cherokee people. And to believe that we're going to legislate this thing so that they can automatically become savers is not realistic. Now, the people that are making $100,000, hey, that's no problem. They're already savers. They're already in the 401ks. We've got employees that are in they've got their 401k and they've got the bigger one too, and for the highly compensated employees. And but we just really need to do what we said, and I plead that we add this to it and give the chief an opportunity to do the right thing.
I've been present, I think, for most of this discussion, and I've heard about, from Mr. Baker, employees who can't afford to save $20 a month, and I've heard, from some people in my department that basically during the ice storm said, we don't want it. Let's spend that money helping the elders and the disabled. Maybe we should have 2 or 3 council members and a person from HR design an employee survey so that we can get a true feeling from our employees of how they really feel about this. Because I know that we all hear from 1 or 2 or 10 or 12, but I can't stand here and tell you what the consensus of 2,000 employees is. And I think it would be important to get employees' feedback and give them a little input.
Councilman Keener.
Yeah, Kelly, all right, let's make a survey then. Get everybody that, give it to those that needs it. All right, let's give them a check and tell them to take it over there to them.
Tell them to take it over to the save it?
That needs it.
Yeah, and it'll be matched at that point.
Well,
and if they take it to put it and say, that's a heck of a deal, Johnny.
I just thought it would be.
And if they really want to put it in and have it matched 2 to 1, but now I assume it has to stay for
about 22 months, I believe. But that is a good idea, Mr. Keener, but part of this IDA program is helping people establish the discipline to save. I know when I was in college, I fortunately was raised by parents who didn't owe a dime and never would, and I'd give up my Pepsi to put my $10 a month into my savings account. And a lot of people didn't have that training, and the IDA program is to try to help people develop that discipline, to sacrifice a little for the long run.
Other discussion? Councilman King.
Yes. A 10 cents when you got that, and that's all you got, don't mean much.
Yes.
Now, if you had a $1 bill and you was going to have 90 cents of that left, well, the good Lord puts 10% of that in, so you got 80 cents. And so, now, well, anyway, you got this money here, I just can't quite understand, it's just because what I was shooting at a while ago, you know, you made a survey and you talked to a lot of the constituents that are working, you know, they said they want to take the money and help those people that was in the ice storm. Well, that's all over and the storm's still going. I mean, those people still need money.
Yeah,
And
well,
so now-
I didn't survey the employees, I'm telling you what a few people in my department said.
All right, then just take them few then, go ahead and pay them and tell them take that check over there and people that know help them. Because they're the one that's got money, they can actually say that.
Yeah.
You know, many a times if I don't pay my vendors and stuff like that, my paycheck looks real good. I mean, you know, my bankroll, you know. But whenever I start paying my vendors, it don't look too good. You know.
Councilman Baker.
Yeah, and Kelly, I mean, I'm not, you're not an elitist, that's not what I'm saying here. But I'm just saying you hadn't talked to the janitors, you hadn't talked to the cleaning ladies.
Well, actually, I did. The cleaning lady who comes into our building is very friendly.
And she said that she didn't want the money.
She said she would donate hers to the ice storm victims. Everybody is different. That's why I said we all hear from different people at different times. How can we possibly know what all of the employees think?
But the truth is, this council gave enough money for every single family that applied to get $500.
And they're not getting it.
And they're not getting it. We appropriated $500 per every application. And I'm getting calls daily where they're being scrutinized and called, and the money's being held up, and they're not getting it. And so your little janitor lady that said that she would give her money, all we got to do is write the checks, and those people got that money. And then we could give her money that we owe her, and it's not going to stop one iota of any services, any need that this council sees. We were able to fully fund the ice storm, even though the money's not getting out, everybody's not getting what could get. I mean, there's going to be money left over, and I guess we'll do indirect costs out of it or something and call it good. But anyway, we funded enough money to give every single person or every single family $500. That's what we did. So that's an irrelevant argument. Now, Johnny made the best point. Write everybody a check and tell them, say, in their packet, folks, we want you to be savers, and if you'll take this over and you'll deposit it into this account and you'll put $20 a month with it, then we'll go match that thing, and at the end of 22 months, you're going to have $2,000. And let's see how many of them do that.
And please, I didn't throw out some of my employees wanted to donate to the ice storm victims. I was throwing that out as an example of how different employees perceive this issue differently. I realize that the ice storm victims have been funded. Obviously, this is an issue that is very dear to everyone, and the employees are what we're talking about, so that's why I suggested let them have some input on it.
I've talked to many folks, and they want the money.
I've got a question, Doug, and perhaps you can answer this. What if we agreed to this proposed compromise and the money was deposited in the employee's account, and next week the employee goes to get it, to try to get it out because they truly need it, they have an emergency? What kind of fees would they have to pay?
Well, I'll just tell you, I just got a copy of this, so I was just sitting here reading it. It would be determined on how that money went into that account. If it was handled under retirement arrangements where it could go in pre-tax, then there would be tax implications unless they met some criteria as far as qualifying emergency withdrawal, but which could avoid the tax situation. It's hard a question to answer, Mr. Hoskin, because
just give me, would it be, do you anticipate it would be 25% of the funds, or worst case scenario? Well, give me a worst case scenario.
Well, as soon as the money went in,
yeah,
I think is after over a year and a half before they would actually get it, right? They would,
Under this particular proposal.
they would have to deposit an annuity every month of $20-something, and at the end, they got their match.
Okay.
I don't believe it's monthly match.
I got you, Karen. I'm sorry, Ms. Walker.
Thank you, Chair. I believe there's an emergency loan program for those kind of situations, just for the employees. It's provided up to like $2,500, so it's even way more money available than what would be here. That'd be more appropriate for that situation.
Yes, Doug.
True, yes. Also, after looking at this, and this isn't a part of your debate at all. I'm just sharing an observation, but I really like what this is intending to do with taking the lowest paid employees and giving them a double incentive to, in essence, begin a savings discipline. And whether or not this is your compromise or not, barring any IRS code prohibitions to this, I'm not so sure this isn't a really good idea to look at the future 401k benefit plan. I don't know if if there's laws that prohibit this, but something to think about.
I'm sorry, I missed you. I apologize.
Okay. The problem with a lot of this is, these people were expecting to get an X amount of money and didn't get it. And we're still haggling over how much they're to get. The fact remains is that I think there ought to be a vote today, up or down, whether this passes or whether it doesn't. There's people out there, we get calls all the time. $40 a month means the difference between some of our people in our area keeping their insurance on their vehicle so that they can have it to drive to a minimum wage job, or to get to town for the necessities, or for the elders for their groceries, or to go to the food distribution places. And I just think that we ought to, I don't want to get into trying to discipline the employees, whether they save $1 or whether they don't. That's going to be their decision. They may have a child out here that has needs, or there may be an emergency come up. And I think that this is what they're expecting, and I think we ought to give it to them.
Folks, we have a motion on the floor, and it is a proper motion. We have a second. There's been ample discussion, sometimes going to the extremes of the main items. But anyway, with that being said, is there anyone else that wants to discuss this current motion on the floor? Okay.
Clarification before we vote.
Could you read the motion? Is that what you were asking, Ms. Foster?
Mod 3 includes Mod 5 plus remainder of Mod 3 plus the 1.5.
Move to approve Mod 5 and add all of Mod 3, including $1.5 million for employee bonuses.
Actually, the motion was to add the Mod 3 to Mod 5 with the $1.5 million, but it was not to pass Mod 5 yet because he hadn't finished telling us what all's in Mod 5.
Okay.
And I still want to hear the rest of that.
Okay. That is the motion, just simply to add this to it, including 1.5. Hearing no questions. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Division, roll call, please.
Joe Angren?
No.
Bill John Baker?
Yes.
Jack Baker?
No.
Audrey Carter?
Yes.
Joe Crittenden?
Yes.
Meredith Paley?
No.
Don Garvin? Chuck Hoskin?
Yes.
Bill Johnson? Taylor King?
Yes.
John Keener?
Yes.
Jack Bob Martin? Linda O'Leary?
Yes.
Malvina Shophouse?
Yes.
David Thornton? Carol Cotton Watts?
No.
Bill Shargey?
Yes.
9 yeas, 5 nays.
Okay, that amendment does pass. Now, continue discussion of new business item 1.
There's 16 budgets in this modification package, increasing spending by $3.3 million. The general fund is the first fund affected. It's an increase of $213,865. Gen fund operations is recognizing $69,000 of prior year carryover related to the cash match for grants, which I'll talk about in just a minute. The budget is just a source of funds. There's no increase of spending authority on that item. The contingency reserve is requesting a line item reallocation. I asked Callie if she would include this budget, although there's no net impact. There is utilization of a line item that has been reserved by appropriation. So, and my understanding and my belief is that that account was created several years ago to legally restrict a budget to, even though you may not increase the total, when you start using those reserve funds, you have to bring it back before the council, even though there's no net impact. And that's being done here for salaries and benefits. This is where the volunteers for the ice storm, their time is being paid out of. For people that aren't allowed to work on that with their grants. It's $150,000 for salaries, $52,000 benefits, and IDC of $34,000. Next budget's a cash match for grants. I mentioned earlier, requesting an increase in the transfer outs to the programs for the $69,000 for the Compassion Capital Fund. This budget still has $500,000 available for future cash match needs of applications in the future. The rural fire stations are requesting an increase of $2,700 in spending authority because the Grand Gateway determined the Catoosa Fire Department is a rural volunteer fire department, yet was omitted from this year's budget.
Excuse me just a moment. Is there anything in addition to the written report that you need to present to us? Okay, is there any members of the council that need any particular items discussed that's listed here for us to read? Okay, seeing none, Doug, if you'll wrap it up, we do appreciate this information.
Certainly. I don't have anything to add. I can just tell you that this budget mod is a clean mod. Carryover is verified. There's nothing wrong I can see technically with it or otherwise.
Move for approval.
Thank you, Doug. And I do have a motion, I do have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Division, roll call, please.
Kara Callan Watts.
No.
David Thornton. Melvin Shophouse.
Yes.
Linda O'Leary.
Yes.
Jacob Bob Martin. John Keener.
Yes.
Taylor King.
Hold on, sorry. Everything's yes.
Bill Johnson. Chuck Hoskin.
Yes.
Don Garvin.
No.
Meredith Fraley.
No.
Joe Crittenden.
Yes.
Audra Connor.
Yes.
Jack Baker.
No.
Bill John Baker.
Yes.
Bill Anglin.
No.
Phyllis Shargent.
Yes.
9
Mr.
yea,
Chairman,
5 nay.
One moment, please. Well, I'm sorry, what'd you
9
say?
yea, 5 nay.
Okay, item number 1 passes. We move to item 2. Yes, Mr. Garvin.
I just want to point out that puts us in the same what we've been for the last 4 times. I appreciate what Taylor did, but doesn't look like you had much help. Thank you.
Try again. Yes, okay, item 2, motor fuel tax, motor vehicle tax. Doug?
Road and bridge request for this month. You have a report before you. There's Stone Chapel Road from Mr. Baker and Ms. Connor, $30,303 each. Those are the only motor fuel roads. Motor vehicle tax roads, North Lost City Road, Baker, Connor, $84,572 each. $35,000 Linda O'Leary for New Life Ranch Road Phase 3, and Ms. Shophouse another $14,974 to that same project. Ms. Shophouse also contributing $75,050 to Deer Lick Road Phase 4, and Mr. Hoskin for $50,000 of vehicle tax to the Centralia Road project. There's only one bridge item on here. It's not a request, but it's actually recognition of unspent funds for the completion of the project, and they all fall within the allocations.
Thank you. That was a heck of a job, Doug. Okay, we do have a motion, we have a second in discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. And Prince, before you leave, and I apologize, to keep within my rules, I need to ask to amend the agenda to entertain just a little bit of information about an English-only bill that's in the Oklahoma House of Representatives. So I would like to make that motion.
We have a motion on the floor and a second for discussion.
To amend, just for a little bit of information.
To amend the agenda for discussion of the English-only bill.
Folks, before the Oklahoma House, and it is passed out of committee, there is a bill.
We need to vote, sorry.
What?
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Thank you. It's the way the bill is written, it's a very difficult bill to read. But any time that a people says that this will be recognized as official language, it has unintended consequences. The reason behind the bill is directed at illegal aliens. That's what it's directed at, and now the author has said that in print. Well, the unintended consequences, though, it damages individuals who do not speak that language. And as you all know, we've put many, many dollars in programs to try to restore our language. If you diminish it, you tell our children and other tribal children and other languages that their language is not as important as. And so that's a difficult thing to do. The 5 chiefs of the 5 tribes immediately sent out a notification giving their stand against it. The Muscogee Creek Nation just last Tuesday night passed out of their council a resolution in opposition to English being the official language. And what I'm putting it out for is simply because I'm aware of it, I know what's going on as far as that goes, and I just wanted you to be aware of that. And I apologize for not bringing it up during rules, but it was one of those things that I just written down and just passed over. But you all need to be aware of it. The body of the bill itself talks basically all about documents. It doesn't talk about language, it's talking about written language, but the title of the bill makes it to be English as the official language. So you need to be aware, as other tribes are. And so.
Councilman Baker. Chuck, would you prefer that us make it official and ask for a resolution from the tribal council?
Well, and again, that's up to you. And what I would like to see, though, is if that's the desire of this committee, and I apologize, there's not. I wish we would have had more people here because they need to hear our voice. We need to give the chair of or the chair of co-chair of rules an opportunity to review the Creek Nation resolution and possibly have one prepared to present on the floor of the next council meeting. So that's just something that we could do if that's what this committee decided to do.
I'd put that in the form of a motion just so we could have an agenda item.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a...
Would you want that resolution for the March full council meeting in the hopes to amend the agenda at the full March?
If that's the desire of this committee, yeah, I think that's probably what the motion was.
Okay, the full council meeting. Okay, all right, got it.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second to prepare a resolution for next rules meeting.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, I'd like...
Next council meeting.
Next council meeting. Yes, which is not very far off. And I'd like to sign on as a co-sponsor or whatever of that, if I could.
Again, while it's not aimed at us, it's certainly going to hit us.
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
The motion to adjourn is second. All those in favor say aye.
Did you put things already?
Yeah.
What's that?
Is it in the meeting day?
Yeah, we've done that.
All those in favor say aye.